Great, oh great. Hello everyone, wherever you are around the world. That time has come again where me, Annie D, all the way from Gurgaon, welcome you to the purple sofa. And by the way, it is purple for the few that actually asked me if it really is. Well, it is. Honestly, it's authentic, absolutely purple. And hello to everybody that's joining in. And by the way, it is my very own casting couch. But before I get any more complaints about that, by that phrase, well, it's virtual and it's absolutely safe. So we can have as much fun on this couch as we want. And that's exactly what I intend to do today. Now, how could I not make an appearance on Pride Month, where we celebrate the rights of the LGBTQIA community with all the marches and processions all over the world. And if you are familiar with my interviews, if you want to have a recap, you can go through my IGTV and you will see that I have talked about homosexuality in the royal context. I've talked to Prince Manvendra. I have talked to Openly Gay Director Honour, which talks about homosexuality and Bollywood. And of course, I've also talked to Mai the drag queen, who's made it her profession. You know what? 3 cheers to that. And today is no exception, because today, and who has asked me? So Ayush has asked me who my guest today is. Well, you don't need to wait any longer, because it is Raga D'Silva. It is a woman that's actually come out at the age of 50 after being in a heterosexual relationship, and having 2 kids. Can you imagine? So imagine this. Just imagine men in this situation when they come out. So imagine a woman who's had to come out as well, and having the challenges of confronting those issues with the world anyway, by the sheer fact that you're just a woman. So imagine everything else besides. So you know what, rather than hear me talk about it, because you don't want to see me go on and on. Well, there you go. So I think it's left for me to actually call Raga myself. And of course, before I do, let me say hello to Abhishek Da. Let me say hello to Nams. As I said, RJ, Ayush, and Anshit, you're there too. And of course, I've missed some people as they go, and wave to you too. So thank you so much. And of course, people are going up. So let me just send a message to Raga, and let's see if I can do it quite easily. That's what I need to do. But as you know, Instagram willing, I shall be able to do this. And I have my issues with Instagram, but we shall try and defeat it today. So my request has gone successfully, but it means nothing on Instagram when it comes to me, as you know. So let's see if it works this time. As I said, Raga, if it doesn't go to you, you can send me a request quite easily and I shall accept. So meanwhile, we are going to wait and we're going to see if it happens. So Shivraj, good to know that you've joined in too. So Raga, I'm not sure if you've got my request. If you have, just grab it with both hands, and that could be a virtual hug. Thank you, Ayush. You like my pens when I'm interviewing. Oh dear. No, I do keep it in case I have to note something down. So actually it's not even a prop. It's actually a real thing. So I'm going to send a request once again. So let's see if this happens. I hope, Raga, that you're not on the phone except with me. So I have sent it again. Oh, Shivraj. Oh, well, that's really good. Well, then why don't you listen out here, kind of stay in here. And Shivraj, I actually did take note of I was thinking of going into some of your IGTVs, actually, some interesting stuff. So I recommend everyone else to have a look in as well. So Raga, tell me if you've managed to catch my request. And I'm sure I'm doing it right. I'm sure that I haven't done anything wrong this time, which I usually do. This is Instagram. So Shivraj, maybe you could do something like me, and how to kind of tackle technology if it's not your thing. I think that could be your next thing. Abhishek Dhawan, good to know that you're here as well. Oh, great. All right. So let's see, Raga, I'm going to send you a request. And let's see if this works. As you know, I'm not the best at this, but I persevere. And that's what Honeydee is all about. So Dylan, good evening to you too. And I hope Raga has got my message. So she's going to grab it. So view request. Oh, look. Oh, totally right. I will go live with you. That title, totally out now. Says it all, says it all. Love it. Yeah, good evening to everybody. I've got lots of hellos and good evenings. Hi. Wherever you are around the world. It'd be nice to know where you guys are from, actually. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Really well, but a very dark, gloomy day in London.
Oh,
So I've been running around trying to, get hold of some lights to have a better lit room.
Now listen, you're being greedy. I hear the sun has been pelting. It's got its sunglasses on over the last few days.
You know the London weather, it's just like as unpredictable.
It's the truth. But what I always say to people, you get more for your buck. You get all 4 seasons in one day. It doesn't matter.
Truly, truly. Sorry, I've been running around. Hot day in London.
It's
so good to be here, Annie. Thank you for this.
No, it's an honor for me. It's a pleasure to have you on. And to be honest, I was going to say, you know what, tell me about yourself. But do you know what? I am not going to let you. I am going to do those honors. So let me do this now. Raga, I was going to ask you, I've already kind of welcomed you on, and I wanted to say to you, I want to ask you what you did, but you know what, I'm going to do this. I've got a list of things here, Raga, right? So you're an Asian ambassador for Diabetes UK, is that correct?
That's correct.
Tick. You're an author for the book Untold Lies, which talks about your experiences.
Correct.
Right, tick book. You know what? I'm going to get an A star for this. Okay. You're listed amongst the top 100 Wonder Women in advertising and branding 2021.
And marketing. Yes,
and marketing. Oh, God, minus there. All right. So almost. And you're the first woman to be elected on the board of the Indian-New Zealand Business Council. Am I correct?
That's right.
Right. You can just keep on nodding, Raga. Oh, my God. And a large part of obviously why you're here today, why we're talking today, you're a sought after speaker on diversity and inclusion and of course LGBTQI issues. Is that a nod and a tick as well? Have I got that?
You've left one very important
branding,
bit, which is unconscious bias.
Unconscious bias, thank you.
9.99.
I feel I could be running for the Olympics. Now, Anne, to top it all up, you have been on Sky, you've been on ITV, you've been on TV New Zealand, and now you're on Annie D Conversations. Oh my God.
This is the best of all. Absolutely the best. Annie, I don't do Insta Lives. I've stopped doing Insta Lives. Like I said to you, I absolutely don't like it. I don't like to use the word hate, but I don't like them. This whole setup, everything, I find it so difficult.
I was able to convince you.
but because of who you are and your personality and the vibes you've given, I said I must take up the opportunity. And so thank you so much.
No, thank you so much for coming on. I'm telling you, I'm technophobic, and the only thing, I haven't even mastered Instagram, but I can just about start a live and send a request, and I can stop. So there's 3 things.
I was thinking, what is going to happen? My phone didn't work, the UK phone, it just didn't work. I had to rush up to the bedroom and get my India phone. So, I said,
you see, exactly. So I'm not even going to try any other platform, okay? It's already a conspiracy because Instagram keep on updating. So I'm always forever chasing my tail with Instagram. But anyway, we digress. We could go on and on, but obviously we're limited. But listen, I can't help laugh. If I laugh too much, just stop me there. Okay, Raga? Just stop me there.
No.
All right.
Please laugh.
Oh, dear. So listen, we digress, but there's one question that's always plagued me before we start, right? I'm not sure if it's something I should say, but I've always wondered why people classify themselves when you're in the LGBTQ, plus community. Why do you classify yourself as being in the queer category? Why queer? Because I'll tell you why, because I see that as negative. I really do.
It's interesting because, all these homophobic words that we started off, I mean, when I came out or was dragged out, the word queer, the word gay, lesbian, they were all words that had a negative connotation.
Yeah.
So if that's what is internal homophobia. You get so worried about these words that you kind of tell yourself that you cannot be a lesbian, you cannot be a gay person, you cannot be a queer because somebody else, it is a reference point for people's abuse, basically. So it's kind of
Yeah.
defined as an abusive thing. But over time, the word queer, gay, lesbian, we've owned it. So
Yeah.
we hold it with pride and say,
Yeah.
okay, I'm a queer person. Now let's talk about it. So we are
Right.
creating a positive connotation for a word that has been shut down underground for many, many years. So I own that word. I'm queer and I'm proud of being queer.
Right. Okay. So you know what, it has kind of, it's been a question that's run around my head quite a bit because our definition is obviously, very different than the connotation is, and I like that. Own it. Loving that. Love that. So
Thank you.
now, you know what, I am so glad to be meeting because we met coincidentally, didn't we? I think
We did.
after Sapna Bhavani's interview. So
Right.
absolute pleasure. So that was great, and we got chatting, and I thought, you know what, this day just had to come, and what an appropriate month to have the conversation in. So I'm sure you're busy with all the celebrations.
Well, I don't know whether busy with all the celebrations, but Annie, what happens is I always say during June, which is a Pride month, it's almost like
Yeah,
the entire world wake ups to this
yeah,
whole conversation around the queer community.
yeah,
Then July onwards, we are forgotten. We are kind of
ah,
buried again. So
yeah,
June becomes a very busy month for us. Like
yeah,
every morning, I wake up to at least 2 or 3 dozen inquiries.
yeah.
LinkedIn, Twitter, your Instagram. And I think what is going to happen to me on the 1st of July? I think I'm going to go on a holiday,
A long holiday.
a long holiday for 11
What
months.
is it? Until summer comes around again. Oh dear, oh dear. Now, but anyway, but throughout the year though, you have kept yourself busy because you have written a book called Untold Lies. And from what I understand, it's kind of your memoirs, your experiences from marriage to kids to coming out, which is really quite something. So I'm sure that was a kind of cathartic release. But I'll tell you what I found interesting. Now, I saw you kind of being introduced by Barkadat on TV, and you were talking, she was introducing you in your book. And what I found really interesting is that you just happened to mention that you were happy in your marriage early on. Please explain to me. I have to understand that part there.
This is an interesting part. This is a long conversation, but I'll try and keep it as short as possible. This has to do with our society,
Yeah.
Annie, and a society which we create, which we are a part of, which I've been a
Mm,
part of as well. And we do the othering all the time. We always say, "You are the society. You haven't given me an opportunity. You haven't accepted me. You have judged me."
mm,
But I realized that society, I haven't been part of changing the narrative. So,
yeah.
which means that I got married to my best friend, a male friend, because that is
Yeah.
what was expected of me
Right.
from society.
Yeah.
A biological man and a biological woman
Yeah.
get together and they get married. That's what we have been told over time. And we
Yes.
believe that, and we all
Right.
believe that,
Right.
including the central government, central government of India said that recently.
Yeah.
Marriage is a union between a biological man and a biological woman. When the same gender people have petitioned for
Mm,
marriage rights, so when you believe that, I got married, but somewhere inside I knew that this didn't feel right for me. So it
mm,
wasn't about being unhappy in a marriage. I was very happy in my marriage at that time.
mm.
We had beautiful children, we have twins, a son and a daughter. So it seemed like a very, ideal marriage. I was in New
Yeah.
Zealand, big homes, three, four
Mm,
cars, everything that you can imagine. But I wasn't happy inside. And I knew that I wasn't really living my truth. And my truth was that I was really attracted to women. My soul didn't
yeah.
feel fulfilled. I wasn't emotionally nurtured.
Mm,
And that is why I say I was happy in my marriage, but I was not
mm.
happy inside. And
Ah,
that is
right.
why I made the decision to leave my marriage and leave my truth.
Right. So here's my question. So you said you kind of married your best friend, and in a way, that's something. Well, you're lucky because it's something that a lot of us don't even have. We don't get to marry our best friend, and some of us can say, well, argue, well, that's even that's really good. But at what point, how many say years into your marriage did you think something is really wrong here? Were you fighting the fact that you were attracted to him, or did you not understand it at the time? So how long into the
See,
marriage?
I come from a generation that really didn't understand these things. Like I said, the
Yeah,
word gay, lesbian didn't exist in the dictionary. We couldn't
yeah,
even sit with our families and speak about it because what do you
yeah.
say? I mean, and so I always felt like a misfit. I always felt that there
Ah,
was something wrong with me,
yeah.
because I knew that, I had the best person in my life, my friend, I had no problems, but it didn't feel right. And I can't even explain. It just didn't feel
Mm,
right. I didn't enjoy doing things with him. I didn't feel fulfilled inside. It was I felt incomplete.
right.
So we were married for 7 years. I've now not been married for
Mm,
about over 15 years. So
yeah,
7 years of my life, I had a good time with
yeah.
him, but it was partly to do with not being fulfilled, partly to do with other issues in the marriage as well. But I
Mm,
realized that I was compromising. So when in 2002, long time ago, that was after 7 years of marriage, I realized
mm,
that I was really feeling incomplete, and that if I didn't do anything about it, so I took a while. It
mm.
took about 3, 4
That's it.
years
Yeah.
to understand. It was not that overnight I woke up and said, I think I am gay and I'm going to leave you. No, I fought with it. That's my new book that's coming out. It's a
Mm,
memoir which will talk about this,
mm,
how I fought with myself more than
yeah,
anybody else. Before the society fought with me, before my
yeah.
ex-husband fought with me and called me names, I fought with myself.
Wow.
And only then, it's a big decision, Annie, to
Yeah,
make.
absolutely. Because it's not just about you, because over the years you're connected to other people. So really that one person just leaving that context has impact on so many people. So what was going through your mind at the point that you said, okay, I need to leave? What was going through your mind then?
It was a very scary place to be, let me just say. It was a very
Yeah,
lonely road. uh, Even talking about it at that time, divorce or separation, I'm talking 20 years ago, was a
yeah,
huge stigma.
yeah,
People always pointed, fingers at the woman, right? If
yes,
you My mom asked me, she said, does he hit you? Does he get drunk?
yeah,
Does he abuse you? Does he not look after you financially? I said, no, he does all of this. Then she said, what's your problem? Stick with him, pretend. She told me, pretend. My best friends told me, pretend for the sake of the children. And I keep
yeah.
telling myself, and I tried to pretend. Seriously, I went because you don't want to put your family through the
Of
stigma.
course,
And the
yeah,
fact and the fact I was also thinking of exploring something with
yeah,
other women or women at
yes,
time. I didn't do multiple at one time, but
yeah,
a woman. So the fact that I was interested in exploring that was completely, my mother was shocked. She was ashamed of me. She said, you're a
yeah,
disappointment. You're going to cause a scandal. I understood all of that. So it
mm,
took me so long to say yes to myself.
yeah.
It, it's a very, very lonely place to be. I can tell you that.
No, for me, even asking the question is really difficult. And I did message you before saying, I apologize in advance because I know it's going to bring up quite a bit, and I know it's still something that we all get. It's not an instant shut on and shut off kind of a process when it comes to such emotions because you're reliving it every time. But so, I mean, in your book, I think you mentioned that your mother was also pretty aggressive at some point. I mean, is that really true, or am I being too dramatic? Or
No, it was more dramatic than that, actually.
gosh,
I've kind of, but I understand. My mother and I
mm,
made peace in our own way. Indian families,
yeah,
we don't really talk about things. We just kind of put it away in the
yeah,
closet and hope everything kind
yeah,
of, if you're in denial, it works. So my mother, when she read a letter that I had written to a friend when my
hmm,
marriage was really going through a bad time, I
yeah,
had not posted that letter. I had left it in the closet. My
yeah,
mother opened that closet, took out the letter, obviously read it, and she had a reaction. Now, again, I'm talking about that generation when once you're married to a person, that marriage is
hmm,
forever, no matter
yes,
how hard it is for you, right?
yes,
So if
yes,
that person, one, gets to know that you don't want to be married anymore because
mm,
I had not really shared it with her that
yeah,
my ex-husband and I were having trouble in our relationship, and two is that I wanted to be with somebody from the same gender,
mm, yeah,
it shocked her. And typically when people are shocked and out of fear, they have a reaction. My mother had a really bad reaction. My mother, in fact, wanted to kill me, and she
God,
stood over my head with a knife. I
oh,
know that she wouldn't have done that. It is like,
yeah,
it
I
is
know,
like a Bollywood. We are so used to Bollywood drama. मैं
yeah,
तुम्हें मार डालूंगी. What have you
yeah,
done? You've
yeah,
cursed me. I have been cursed. It's all about them, right? And so my mother did that, and it was quite bad, actually. I mean, I haven't shared this, it's in my memoir. I had to leave my house for a bit. I was independent, financially independent. My
Yeah.
babies were little twins. We didn't know what to do. And my mother was in New Zealand at that time with me,
Yeah.
making it very difficult for me every day in my own house.
Yeah.
And her reaction was really bad. It was quite bad, let's say,
Yeah.
quite dramatic.
Okay, so just for one moment, so let's imagine this scenario. So if we take society out of out of the story at this point, do you think a reaction would have been less violent, you think?
I think look at stuff now. Things are still very violent for people in our community. The
Yeah.
reactions are there are few who are very fortunate, who
Hmm.
are able to come out to their families and be accepted for who they are.
Yeah.
And we have a series that we've started called Coming Out Stories from India. So we
Right.
have people like me who have, people who are my age, much younger, 20-year-olds, who share their journeys, their lived experiences. And it
Yeah.
is quite disheartening. Some of the stories, even now, parents have the
Yeah.
same reaction. So a part of me feels that
Hmm.
if we shared information, if we made it more mainstream, like how we're having these conversations,
Yeah.
people use the word gay, queer, lesbian, whatever that word is in a
Yeah.
positive manner, shared stories of struggles of people like us who don't have to go through it. Now, Annie, I will digress a bit, but look at
Yeah.
our
Go on.
story. I've got, I married, I have children, but ultimately I had to go back to my truth, right?
Yeah.
Which means I actually put my family through so much
Yeah.
of trauma. They didn't have to go through that. Nobody
Yeah.
needs to go through that. If society allowed this to happen, then it would be a different story.
Yeah.
However, having said that, it is still very nascent. The narrative is not changed yet. While there could be
Yeah.
one person who has a free life and very accepting parents,
Hmm.
there are 9 in that 10 who don't have that opportunity.
But is that because log kya kenge? Do you think that's a lot to do with it?
Absolutely. It is about log kya kahenge. Even
So,
earlier, it used to be what will people
oh,
say?
so this is it. It's amazing how much power we give over to society, which supersedes your personal kind of love and your relationship. You know, so with a child or with a sibling. And this is what's worrying. And this is, I guess, this is the thing that we need to change. We give so much power over to society, which then dictates our actions, you know. And if we took them out, maybe our relationships would be so much better and the acceptance would be so much better if we didn't worry about ki log kya kahenge. Can you
Well, I agree
imagine?
with you. I agree with you. But however, this is what I want to share is that this society is us.
Yeah,
I am that society, you are that society. So if we took responsibility for creating an inclusive society,
yeah,
each one of us, and we talk about allyship, right? Allies are
yes,
people who support us. So each ally takes the responsibility of being that society. Then
yeah,
the society is us. So we can't talk about log kya kahenge,
yeah,
hum kya kahenge. And if
yeah,
we are that hum, then we are creating a beautiful world from through these narratives.
yeah. So the action, it just starts with one. That's what it is, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Right. So, you know, you also mentioned, and this is it, because the reason why I talk about all the kind of the people in this scenario. So you also talk about your husband who found it difficult, but eventually he came around to the idea. Now, my question is, God, he came around. Now that's even amazing. I mean, would he have come around if, for example, you said, you know what, love, I'm really sorry, this isn't working, but I found another Indian man that I fancy, and I'm leaving. Do you think it would have been the same?
I think it's a question best put to him, right? But I'll try and
Yes.
respond. I have huge respect for Ravi, who's my ex-husband, because
Yeah.
I think it would be difficult for any man, any
Yeah.
person. I sometimes often think actually, what if he had come to me and said to me
Mm.
that he was gay and he had to leave
Yeah.
the marriage? I have no answers. I think I would have slapped him. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough.
It's like, like that would have been
Yeah.
my reaction. So I have huge respect for him for accepting me, although it
Mm.
took us a long time. But he never made me feel unsafe in a manner.
Right.
Certain times I felt unsafe because I think that's expected. But
Hmm.
yes, I remember telling him, and that's again in my memoir, and he said, if it was a woman, it was a man, एक थप्पड़ दे देता मैं इसको एक punch दे देता,
Oh,
But you're
yeah.
telling me that you actually want to be with a woman. I don't know what to do. I don't
Yeah.
know what to do. And then he went through his own journey of
I
conflict
can
and
imagine, yeah.
drama and aggression, let's say at times, and uncertainty, But he faced his own demons like I had to. And
Yeah,
eventually he made peace. So it took us a long time, Manny, like a long time. In the last 15, 16 years that I've been separated, I would say the last 5 years have
yeah,
been all right. But we
yeah.
went through a lot of pain over 10 years.
Oh, I
Like we
can
hated each
imagine.
other.
Oh, oh my God. But I'm really happy that you've come to this point because you're in a wonderful relationship with your partner, Nicola. So I know she is listening. Hello to Nicola. I hope you're well. And so at least you've come through it. Now, I'm just wondering. Now, you have used this to kind of share it with other people, to help other people. So there's a facet of yourself. Now you speak, don't you? You speak in corporate affairs, in corporate events about LGBT, QI issues, diversity and inclusion. So what are you talking about there, and what is the aim of what you do there?
Mostly it is about being true to yourself,
Yeah,
whether you're LGBTQ or you're a woman, you're a man, it doesn't matter. What matters is if you don't live your full self, if you don't take your full self anywhere,
yeah,
whether to your friendships, whether to your workplace, whether to wherever, right? That means you're not living your full self. You're not giving yourself to somebody.
yeah,
When I'm talking to you, if I don't give my full self to you, this is not going to feel good for you, right?
yeah,
And it's not going to feel good for me either. So that is my message, that take your full self wherever you are. When you live your authentic truth and when you live your truth, you are actually making a huge difference to yourself and to society.
right.
Otherwise, imagine the mental health issues we have. I have
Hmm.
been suicidal many times. I have been through dark places. I remember going on stage, receiving awards in a really bad state, like
Yeah,
smiling on the face, but inside you're
yeah,
dying. That's not how you live. That's now not how anybody should live. So my
yeah,
conversations with corporate companies is about that, and also about unconscious biases. The moment, I'm
right.
sorry, I'm going to show this, my hair like this, my nose
Yeah,
pins, I've got tattoos all over my body, for instance, and people instantly judge you and instantly say, oh, that person is this.
yeah,
But I am talented, I'm skilled, I have got more experience, knowledge, and
yeah,
education, or as much as many other people around. So why should you look at me and judge me for my appearance? Those are biases that I want to eliminate. And this
right.
happens to the LGBT community quite a bit. Most of us are not even recruited on the basis of how we appear.
Hmm.
Some appear, let's use the word butch. Butch
Hmm.
means that you have masculine presentation,
Yeah.
present yourself in a masculine manner. And the moment you walk in for an interview, I know many of my friends who are fantastically skilled, talented, right person for the job. They don't get it because of their orientation.
Well, and this happens. Are we talking about this even in the Western world? We're still discriminating on sexual orientation.
Of course, everywhere. Human beings are everywhere. We have the same attitude towards people. Just this morning, I got trolled over something. Just
Hmm.
this morning. And it was nothing. Someone had put up a post and they were saying something. I said, you know what? My partner and I, same gender, we brought up two children together. They started trolling me. Oh, I'm sure they're not your biological children. And so, sorry, people don't know biology. They don't know
Yeah.
that a woman, whether she's a lesbian or a straight woman, can still produce children,
Yes.
for instance. And this
Yeah.
is from somebody in the UK.
Yeah.
Discrimination happens, slurs happen, people abuse you no matter which part of the world they are if they don't understand and they are not educated enough.
See, this is what amazes me. You've got a long list of, you've got look at your credentials, for goodness sake. And, it's almost like kind of a byline, your sexual orientation. How does it become a deal breaker? Because our relationship, if you're heterosexual, it's not as if we have our bedroom on the streets, for public show, but it's almost as if yours is. So
It's
why?
it's very interesting. I have lived both lives, right? I've lived a life of a straight woman, married,
Yeah,
children, and have had huge amount of respect just because I was married. This
yes,
is Mrs. Kamboj, they would say,
yeah,
right? And that gave me so much of respect. Then I have been in a 15-year-old relationship with my current partner, Nicola, as you mentioned, and I can't even introduce her as Mrs. Raga
yeah,
D'Silva, for instance, or she cannot introduce me as. There is absolutely two different ways we look at it. It's an unequal world. People define us by our
Mm.
sexual orientation, sadly,
Yeah.
and we are those people. I was that person as well until I understood it for myself. So why we do it, I have no idea. But I think there are people who do it because they don't understand, they're not aware, or they're just, sorry, I'm going to use, can I use swear? There are
Yeah,
just
absolutely.
a-holes, assholes. Like someone said
Yes.
to me the other day, there are some people who are assholes, whether they're straight or they're not straight.
Mm.
They will just do everything possible to bring you down. So those people exist in this world.
Right. So it could be that it could be in our nature to bring people down. Maybe it's not about sexual orientation. Maybe it's not about sexuality. It could be just human beings generally having this trait where we just like to bring people down. Because I have seen it in public. People love to put themselves up by bringing other people down. And maybe they're looking for some opportunity. And I think this is just one thing that they can grab onto. It's just an easy one, isn't it? Possibly,
Yeah.
which is just a shame. Oh dear. But listen, I just want to ask you a question. Do you find it's easier to exist in a relationship, with the same sex outside of India, do you feel?
I think it is maybe easier in terms of that I can live freely.
Yeah.
I don't have, if I walk with my partner holding a hand, although I could walk with my partner holding a hand in India, because in India they don't really jump to
They
conclusions.
don't see
Two
it.
men are
Yeah.
walking, two,
I'm
even the
not sure what's
cops
worse.
walk. Yeah, so that's fine. Yeah, so that's not the problem. But yeah, I think it's a bit freer for me to be who I am here,
Yeah.
whether I was in New Zealand or in the
Yeah.
UK with the same gender partner. But it doesn't mean
Yeah.
that I don't expect to get abused. I was abused
Right.
in New Zealand. So there's
Yeah.
always that fear because you don't know who's going to be observing or responding
Yeah.
to you, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not written on people's face whether they're bigoted or not, right?
Mm.
Whether they're homophobic. So yeah, I feel freer that I can live myself, for example, that I could be married or my
Yeah.
relationship is accepted here legally as well.
Mm.
However, in India, as soon as I cross over the border in India, then suddenly Nicola and I become two single people.
All right.
Because even
Yeah.
if we were married, marriage is not accepted in India. So suddenly I am not married anymore. I'm a single person.
So,
So
you know
yeah,
what? That begs the question then, how far do you think India has progressed after that landmark judgment, with reference to Section 377? So how much have we accepted that really? So it's just an action right now. Is it just lip service? How much do you think we've really progressed?
I think it has given us, the LGBT community, the confidence to be out. So more
Right.
and more
Okay.
people are coming out. So people like me, the voices are coming out. I was hiding. Now I know that 377 is out. I will not, if I do say public display of affection with my partner, I would not be put in jail, for
Yeah.
instance. That is the only thing, right? But everything else we're celebrating too early because right now it's just the beginning. We don't really know where it is going to go.
Yeah.
And in terms of there's freedom to be. We can talk to our families
Yeah.
around it. It is a, I think we're just beginning to spread awareness.
Right.
Education, like I could sit, if my mom was around now, she's not around anymore. I think I would have conversations with her about the community now because there
Right.
is reference material. There are voices out there, positive role models out there.
Yeah.
That has changed.
Yeah.
Corporate companies, sorry, whether they're doing it as a tokenism or tick in the box, corporate
Mm.
companies have put in this as part of the DNI, what they call
Right.
diversity and inclusion. So
Mm.
every company or most companies have a DNI culture. So which means they're sensitizing people, they're making workplaces safer for the LGBT community, they're creating allyship, and
Brilliant.
more people are supporting. So that has helped.
Oh, right. Okay. I've always wondered though, it's a really silly question. You can tell that I'm uneducated about this. How does it work with like gyms and loos and things like that? Because obviously you have showers if you're part of a gym. How does that work? Do we adjust those?
See, again, first of all, I think I need to explain something. People
Yeah.
think that lesbian, gays, transgender,
Yeah.
they're all one. We're not
Yeah.
one actually. In terms of
Yeah.
we have soul connection. We are all a family, a
Yeah.
community, as you say, but we are very different. Lesbian is a woman. I was born in this body and I identify with my body, and I am
Yeah.
just somebody who loves another woman. A
Right.
gay man is somebody who's born in that body. He accepts his body for who it is,
Mm.
and he's just interested in uh, another man.
Yeah.
However, transgender people are different. They are
Right.
born in a certain body, but they believe that they are not comfortable in that body, and then they transition. Some of them transition, some of them don't transition. Now, for that person, who are very different to me. So
Yeah.
some people in India assume that they'll say, oh, they use the word chakka, right? In
Right.
India, very bad word, sadly, hijra. So they think
Right.
lesbians are hijras. They think lesbians are chakkas. They don't
Hmm.
realize I'm not. I'm just that my preference is loving another
Right.
woman. Yeah,
Okay.
that is being with another woman. That's a huge difference. So I don't need, for instance, a gender neutral toilet. I will still go to the
Right.
ladies, right? Because it is not
Hmm.
written here that I'm a lesbian.
Right.
I'm a
Okay.
woman, and
Yeah.
I go to a woman's toilet. However, for a transgender person, I think we do need a gender neutral washroom, for instance. Those facilities are not available, as you
Right.
know. That is the
Yes.
difference. So that's what I would say. Sorry, I'm giving you a long response to
No,
this,
no,
but
no, no,
we
no.
have to
It makes sense.
understand the difference,
Yes.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As I said, I'm not well versed with this. So these are the kind of questions that I know that I have in my mind. And I know for anyone else, it might, I don't want to upset them, but it's something that I'm interested, I'm curious in knowing, all the kind of the corporate adjustments that we need to be doing. So it's not just the mindset, but physically sometimes we need to do to the corporate workplace in order to, to accept that we are different. Not all of us have the same preferences, and as far as I'm concerned, we're not normal. You were still trying to fight. For me, having a Pride Month itself separates you, and I wait for the day that we don't need a Pride Month. I know and it sounds really odd, but why do we even have it? Because automatically you're separating yourself from the community.
Yeah.
So for me, I know that even that sounds awful, but there is some kind of logic in my head. So, in
Yeah, I know.
saying that,
I agree with you, and I also have this dichotomy in my head, like why should we have a Pride Month? And I say,
yeah,
if we didn't have it, then how would people know about the community? How
yeah,
would our problems be addressed? And those need to
mm,
be addressed. You just brought up a very good point about washrooms, for
yeah,
instance, so important. People don't understand the difference between gender and sexuality.
right, yeah,
That is the difference, right? My sexuality, my preference is being with a woman. That's my
yeah,
sexuality. My
right,
gender, I'm a woman. That is why you will see these days people have
yes,
pronouns.
yes,
I
yeah,
call myself she, her, hers. That's how I like
yeah,
to be identified.
yeah,
I am not, there's this non-binary people who identify themselves as they, them. They want to be called they and them,
yeah,
addressed as that. There are people, gay men who identify themselves
yeah,
as he, him. It's
yeah,
important. And then there are the trans community who identify themselves in whichever box they want to.
yeah,
And we need to respect that. I don't
right,
understand it fully myself,
yeah.
but I respect that.
See, this is why I'm here today, and this is why you're here today to educate me. People who will be seeing this later on. You know, I'm also, look, because I'm just, the reason why I talk about India is because I see Kamala Harris, she's walking with the LGBT community in Washington. We have the first state, Madras, who's kind of making it illegal to have conversion therapy. And I just feel that I'm just waiting, Karan Johar, I'm really sorry, but I'm waiting for Karan Johar to lead that procession in India. So I'm waiting for that time that we can be comfortable with ourselves and just be open because we are just part of society. If that's the case, we shouldn't be embarrassed about it. It just is. But then this is only the beginning that I can
Yeah.
see.
I
But
don't I don't know, but I don't know one thing I must say that I don't know Karan Johar at all. I've watched his
yeah,
movies, I don't know him. But I don't think he's out either,
yeah.
openly either. So if he's not, then he's not the person to lead the procession.
Well, I'm not sure, but he did talk about it. I think I did hear something. He did talk about it. He hasn't confirmed it, but he has discussed the fact that he did find it was an issue. But Karen, I'm really sorry. Please don't slap me with a legal thing here. So I could be mistaken. I heard about it. So this is
I
where
don't think,
rumors start.
yeah.
Rumors start
He's
it.
I'll if I ever meet him and I will give him a hug, but from what I know, he's not the role model for a community. There are far better people, Apurva Israni, Onir, who are
Yes,
out and proud.
yes,
There's our
yes,
friend Shivraj who's watching. We are out and proud. We are the people who should be leading this procession. Harish Iyer,
yeah.
Parmesh Shahani, Sridhar Rangayan. I'm sorry, these names may not be
Yeah,
familiar to you,
no,
you
no,
know?
no. Some of them, in fact, are. And to be honest, I was talking to one of my interviews with Prince Amar Singh, and it was talking about all of this. And my statement was, I mean, do you really need to be homosexual to lead to be in that LGBTQ plus procession. You don't need to be. I'm having these talks. Do I need to be part of the community to talk about it? No, I don't think I need to be. So, to be honest, if you believe in it, I think anyone can lead that procession.
Exactly.
Definitely. And that's what I believe. But, you've let nothing hold you back. Now, talking about on air. Now, do I hear rumors? That little bird has told me that you could be the source of inspiration for director O'Neill for one of his movies. Is that correct though? Have I heard correctly there? If not,
You
correct
you
over.
did very interesting. It was Onir and I know each other for a while, but I
Yeah,
never shared my story with anyone, so it was so
right.
private. So 2 years ago, Onir and I were on a panel after my book
Yeah,
was published, on a panel together, and he went on talking about all the movies that he's made. I turned around and said to him, "You've made movies about gay men. When are you going to make movies with
yeah,
lesbians?"
yeah,
And he just kept quiet. A day later, I was back in Mumbai. This was in Noida. He gave me a call. He said, "Are you available? I want to talk to you." Met me at a hotel that time. Although I lived in Mumbai, I was doing an
yeah,
event at that time. Met me, said, "I'm interested in your story. Can you share your story?" So during lockdown last
yeah,
year, I sat and I wrote a story which was inspired by my story, because my real story, full story, I am not sharing yet. It's in my
yeah.
memoir. Okay,
Okay.
but that story, which was inspired, has the background of my mother, my
Yeah,
children, all that, the drama, but the love story has been inspired a little bit by my story, which he commissioned
yeah.
me to write. And he,
Wow.
of course, after hundreds of redrafts, he accepted it, and he's
Mm.
making that into a full feature film,
Wow.
international feature film, and I'm very
Wow.
proud.
No,
I
so I
wouldn't,
can't wait.
and Onir is the right person for me.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, we did discuss this, like we discussed, being in States, being coming out and being in Bollywood, and that context and the difficulties, and the fact that Bollywood still hasn't accepted. We're still portraying homosexual characters in a particular way, and we're not consulting people who probably know quite a bit about it. So, we were having that conversation. It was really interesting, and I do hope that it comes out because I want to be at that premiere. All right, I'm going to make sure that
Oh,
I
how
am.
sweet. I would love that to happen. I
No.
mean, we have big plans for that film. So, God bless Onir, and I hope the world makes it mainstream. That's the problem.
Wow.
Getting a financier or a producer for a same gender
Yeah.
film is very difficult. It is
No,
still not mainstream.
this is it. This is it. So
Yeah.
I'm waiting for it to be so I can see for myself what reality is.
Shivraj, please come along. All of us will go for the premiere.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm in. I invited myself.
Yeah, but it is interesting. Sorry, Annie, it's your conversation, Annie
No,
D
no.
conversation, but I will do a Raga D conversation here. It
Yeah,
is
go on.
important for people watching this, if they know of any producers or financiers, they must
Yeah,
write to us, because I think the more these kind of narratives are on screen,
yeah.
because books and cinema, right, are two pivotal
Yes. Yeah,
points for us, reference points. If we show these kind of stories, our stories, make it mainstream, that is when we will all be part of the changing narrative.
yeah. All right, absolutely, totally agree. And I will second that. If somebody's there, and obviously this IGTV will be promoted, it will go out. There are lots of people that watch it right after. And I'm sure some of them will be on there. In fact, I saw Jonathan Augustin, who's also a director, who also came in to listen to the conversation. So believe me, there are a lot of people who I've interviewed that will see the IGTV, and you never know where it might lead. So I'm hoping it goes in the right direction. Now,
Sorry, in that case, I will promote. I'm writing a lot of stories, short stories on the LGBT, beautiful short stories. Like, they're really
yeah.
heartwarming, soul touching. If anybody's interested, please write to Annie D or me directly.
Absolutely. I mean, when do you think at some point we'll be able to, will those books be used, do you think, in our education boards in India at some point, do you think?
You briefly touched upon the Chennai High Court hearing. You touched
Mm,
upon it and you talked about the conversion therapy.
yeah.
So Justice Venkatesh Anand, who I think the entire community and the world has huge respect for,
Mm,
he's also put in a ruling that schools, we should have these conversations at schools as well
right.
in Chennai. So I hope that the other states replicate this model and bring these conversations into school, because in biology, all they show you is a man and a woman.
Yes,
I hope we
yes.
can go beyond that.
Yeah,
We talked about society. Society is what happens at home, what happens in our schools, early
yeah,
formative years, then what we take to our workplace, and then what we create around with our socio ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
And at every point, if we have certain things in place, have laws in place, anti-discriminatory
Yes.
laws, legal laws. We are afraid of laws, right?
Yes.
Whenever it's a law, I don't like to go against the law. There's no
Yes.
anti-discriminatory law in India. Anti-discrimination has to be put in place. Conversion therapy, you talked
Yes.
about it, right?
Yeah.
Imagine in today's time, there are so high possibility. I know of many such cases where children have come out to their parents, the parents have not accepted it, then they've
Yeah.
taken them through very agonizing, brutal, inhuman
Archaic. Yeah, absolutely.
medical interventions, including shock treatments, so
Yes.
that they can
Yes.
cure them. They've taken them to religious priests and ceremonies where they can convert them through religious ceremonies. You know the jhadu pret we do in India?
Yes. Yeah.
Bhoot hai andar. They
Yeah.
have taken children to get the spirit out of them so that they can be cured. In 2021, no one should have to go through that.
Right. So that is the mantra then, for the future. Now, you've said yourself, your life is an amazing book. All right, if I remember correctly. So I'm just wondering, you've got obviously a few more chapters left within you. I'm just wondering, have we come to the climax already, or is that yet to come?
Well, if it was the climax, then I would be saying goodbye to you today, and tomorrow
Yeah.
I will never wake up, right? I
Yeah.
think I am 50, very proud to be 50, and at 50, I think I'm finally living my
Yeah.
version of my life. I think for
Yeah.
49 years, I lived my version or somebody else's version of my life.
Yeah.
Good wife, good mother, good partner, wonderful this, wonderful friend, wonderful
Mm.
professional. But I actually lived other people's lives of me. Now I'm
Mm.
living my version of me, and
Oh, good stuff.
I'm halfway there.
Okay, fair enough. So halfway through that book.
Yes, halfway through that book, there'll be lots of chapters. Most of the chapters here on
Yeah.
is going to be for our community. And
Yeah.
it's my fight, absolute
Yeah.
fight, that nobody will have to go through what I have been through.
No, fantastic. And I hope that really happens. And I have to thank you, Raga, for coming on and being so open with your truth. And obviously, I know it's not easy talking about it, but I know that you are doing it to help other people as well. And that to me is a big thing. So thank you so much for coming onto the platform today. And of course, I cannot go away without also thanking the listeners that have come in and out throughout the show and who will also then also look into the IGTV later. Thank you so much for coming on. I do hope that you will share this, and I hope it goes towards helping someone and knowing that there is support out there. And you know what? Talk, be open. It's hard, but you know who to come to. She is here. This is Raga D'Silva on Instagram. So if you need any support or any kind of advice, she is there for you, and she will show you the way because there are others out there. And of course, if you want to see it all over again, you can on my YouTube, www.annied.in. Of course, you've got Facebook as well, RJ Annie D. And I come back here again to thank Raga once again for being here. Raga, thank you so much for giving your time today. And I just hope there's progress. And remember, I'm looking for the invite for the premiere as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And may I just end with something? I'm
Absolutely.
Raga at Totally Out Now on all my social handles. There are two things I'll say. There's Aruna Desai, who runs a parenting group for parents of children who are out, called Sweekar the Rainbow, I can't remember. Sweekar. Wonderful. And one last message from me.
Absolutely.
Don't live in the closet. Closets are for clothes, not to hide your truth. And thank you for having me, Annie. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. You couldn't have said it, any better. Thank you so much. And we shall catch up again at some point. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye. See you at the premiere.
Absolutely. It's a deal. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.